All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. I hope you all had a great weekend. And the first story I want to talk about today, Flex Lewis. So Flex Lewis posted on his Instagram that his countdown to the 2021 Mr. Olympia begins February 1st with his Olympia training. So as you guys know, Flex Lewis received a special invitation to the 2020 Mr. Olympia, where he was going to make his men's open bodybuilding debut after winning 7 212 Mr. Olympia titles. Now, a couple months out from the show, he announced that he was not doing the 2020 Mr. Olympia because he had to recover from a shoulder injury. And that really disappointed a lot of fans because I think a lot of people predicted that Flex Lewis would be a top 6 contender here. And after seeing the results of the Olympia in 2020, I think a lot of people think that Flex Lewis could have been possibly a top 3 guy at the Olympia. In fact, let me know in the comment section below. That might be an interesting topic for a video for me to do, is where would Flex have placed in the Olympia lineup at the 2020 Olympia. But Flex has announced he's got his sights set for 2021, which I'm very excited to see. So he says, February 1st, the countdown to the Mr. Olympia training begins. Since August, I have followed the game plan, listened to my doctors, medical professionals, coach, and wife, and the countdown turned into something like a kid waiting for a Christmas day. As promised, I will document the whole process, showing the good, the bad, and whatever happens in between. Soon, I will be dropping the first video showing my trip to Colombia and getting my stem cell treatment. I can't thank all my fans, followers, and friends for their support these last few months. I am excited for the next chapter, Mr. Olympia 2021, #offseason. So I'm sure the majority of bodybuilding fans are excited to hear that Flex is getting back into training and that he is going to be setting his sights on the 2021 Mr. Olympia in men's open bodybuilding. Flex, arguably one of the greatest of all time, probably is the greatest of all time in the 212 category. And I would say probably everybody, myself included, we're extremely excited to see where Flex would place in a men's open lineup, especially with the recent success of shorter bodybuilders, Hadi Chupin, William Bonac. These are top 3 Olympians that came over from 212. Top 3 Olympians in men's open that came from 212. And neither Hadi nor Bonac had won a 212 Olympia. Flex Lewis has won 7, so it stands to reason he would be very competitive in men's open bodybuilding as he was in 212. Now, the question that I have on my mind is he going to receive another special invitation, or is he going to have to qualify by competing? Because they came out with the qualified competitors list earlier last week. And noticeably, Flex's name is not on that list. You've got James Hollingshead, Regan Grimes, Big Ramy, Brandon Curry, Phil Heath, Hadi Chupin, and William Bonac. Now, when they offered him the special invitation the first time around, that added his name to the qualified competitors list. This time, his name's not on there. So I'm wondering now if that potentially means we could see Flex prepare for a show before the Olympia, like the Arnold Classic, especially if there's going to be a very close proximity between the Arnold and the Olympia, if it's just a month apart, or if it's even in the same month. Might we see Flex try to qualify at a show like that? Now, that would be pretty big if Flex won a show like the Arnold Classic Ohio and then went into the Olympia with that momentum. That, my friends, would be fun to watch. So give this video a thumbs up if you're excited to see Flex Lewis's men's open bodybuilding debut. I cannot wait to see this crossover. I think he's going to be extremely successful in doing so, and I think it's going to be one of the more exciting bodybuilding stories in recent memory. Now, next up in the news, probably one of the bigger stories of the video today, Hafthor Bjornsson, a health update, and it's not a good one. So after his fight, his exhibition fight last week, he says a little update for you guys. So Saturday I started to feel ill, and I decided to get tested again, even though I just got tested on the 19th, which was Tuesday, and that test came back negative. The test that I did on Saturday, the 23rd, came back as positive for the virus. And I've been laying in bed ever since. The next 2 weeks will be isolation for me. This is no joke. Stay safe, people. I don't wish this on anyone. Hopefully the world will be in a better place soon. So he does not talk about the extent or the severity of his symptoms or how bad this is actually affecting him physically. But he is positive for the virus, and this is something I've been wondering about, is these exhibitions, while it's fun for us to watch, and while I love to have some entertainment because for a very long time we really didn't have any, the question that I have is, as we see more of these events start to happen again, are there going to be repercussions for these major athletes like Hafthor Bjornsson, who was the main attraction there? If we start to see a lot of these major athletes testing positive after these events, are we going to see things shut down again? Are we going to see, these events that are happening come to a grinding halt? I know there were several athletes after the Olympia that tested positive, and I'm curious as to how that's going to affect future bodybuilding shows because we don't have another show until May. And I was just thinking about this yesterday when I was watching football. It made me wonder about the Super Bowl. You got the Chiefs versus the Buccaneers, which is going to be a pretty awesome Super Bowl. But I was wondering, what if someone tests positive on one of those teams? There's so much at stake. Would they even report it? Would they make it public? Would the team pull out of the Super Bowl? All it takes is one person testing positive. I would think there's too much on the line for the Super Bowl not to happen, especially the fact that it's happening in Florida. It'll probably go on with the show no matter what. But I think the Super Bowl is something we all need to be paying attention to, because I think it's going to be setting the bar of what we can do when we start having these events again. I know they're having a quote-unquote limited audience there, but I think what happens with the Super Bowl in the fallout, if there is any, a bunch of people testing positive after the Super Bowl, I think that's going to be interesting, and it's going to set the tone really for all other sports in all other events, whether it's a boxing match, whether it's an exhibition fight for Hafthor Bjornsson, whether it's a bodybuilding show, whether it's this year's Olympia. I think the Super Bowl it will definitely be a tone setter for a lot of other events as far as how all sports are going to proceed, in the wake of this virus. Now, also in the comment section below, let me know your guys' Super Bowl prediction. The Kansas City Chiefs or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who do you guys have winning the 2021 Super Bowl this year? I've never really been that big of a football fan, but there is a guy that I went to high school with, Spencer Ware. He plays for the Chiefs, so I guess I'm rooting for them. And Spencer actually went to the Super Bowl as a rookie with the Seahawks a few years back. That's enough about football. Let's get back to bodybuilding. Physique update time. Patrick Moore. It's been a while since we've talked about Patrick. Now, Patrick has posted a couple of physique updates. We know that his goal right now is to put on size in his offseason. That was one of the criticisms that he got a lot at the more recent shows that he did, was that he got just kind of outsized in those lineups and maybe overlooked and put in some not so good call-outs for that reason because of size. He posted 2 back updates, a rear lat spread showing off the V-taper from the back. He says that in his caption. Since we're talking V-tapers, that's always one thing that Patrick has really had as his strong point. Even though he wasn't the biggest guy, one of the things when he competed at his first Olympia in 2019 was conditioning. I was very impressed by his conditioning, but of course, the classic look that he had to his physique, the small waist, and the V-taper, which are attributes that are great, but not necessarily attributes that are going to carry you all the way through men's open bodybuilding. Unfortunately, you do need a little bit more size. I think at some of the more recent shows, he didn't nail his conditioning like he did at the Olympia. But Patrick's showing off also a back double bicep. And here, the other thing that I want to talk about here is not only the fact that he's putting on size and taking advantage of this offseason, he's been getting a lot of his tattoos removed and lasered off recently, and you can tell, especially from the back shots, because a lot of his arm was covered in tattoos, and he did have a large tattoo in the center of his back. I think his physique actually does look a lot better with the tattoos lasered off. So that was one improvement that I've noticed so far. Now, I don't know how much of a tangible difference that's going to make on stage in terms of placings, if that's going to give him extra points favorably with the judges. I don't know. But to me, in the physique updates alone, I am noticing the difference here. Now, the final story in this video, I wanted to talk briefly about the passing of former female bodybuilder Laura Bass, who just passed away at the age of 49 years old, unfortunately, from a long battle with depression. She ended up taking her own life, as reported by FitnessVolt.com. They say, we're very dismayed to learn about another death in the bodybuilding community. Former IFBB pro bodybuilder Laura Bass supposedly took her own life at the age of 49 after battling for years with depression, according to her fellow competitor, Tanya Knight, who's another legend in female bodybuilding. And Tanya is quoted as saying, "Today is a very sad day for bodybuilders and fans all over the world. Laura Bass has been struggling with depression for a very long time and unfortunately took her own life yesterday. Laura was one of the most kind and compassionate people I know. She nursed injured animals back to health. She was one of the most beautiful and talented IFBB pro bodybuilders. I'm so proud to have been a friend of Laura's. Please pray for her loved ones and most importantly her son. R.I.P. Sweet Laura, sending hugs and prayers to David and Maria Shoup." So rest in peace to Laura Bass. She was the NPC Junior USA overall champion back in 1992, and she was a top 10 placer at the Miss International throughout the mid-90s. So leave a thumbs up for Laura Bass, maybe a positive comment if you remember her bodybuilding career. And that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. As always, give the video a thumbs up if you did, in fact, enjoy it. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet already. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.